In the Grave, Where the Bones Are Still Wet. Paisley Mott, Book 2. Paisley Mott Series. Written by Kalvin Ellis. Narrated by Gretchen Weber. This book is much darker than the first, so I wanted to offer content warnings for it. To avoid unintentional spoilers, I have placed a full list of content warnings on my website at kalvinellis.com. 1. On average, the human body contains more than one skeleton. That was the statement that stuck with Alicia Lipari as she kicked at the empty soda cans that rolled around in the passenger side footwell, as endless miles of night rolled past outside. "What did you mean by that, sweetie?" she asked, turning to look at the child stretched haphazardly across the back seat. Millicent lay with her eyes closed, and one little arm pulled up under her cheek, squeezing a crochet turtle that served as a makeshift pillow. She responded without ever opening her eyes. She carried the burden of sleep and could trudge on no longer. "Matt told me that if you had all the people in the world and you counted the skeletons in their body, they would average more than one," Millicent said, her soft voice fading, but confident. "Oh, did he now?" Alicia asked, but got no response, save for the soft, rhythmic breath of a sleeping child. She turned to her husband, who smirked as he drove. "You told her that?" "I did. She's likely the smartest 7-year-old on the planet. Might as well teach her some things that they won't teach in school." "But what does that even mean?" Alicia sat back in her seat and crossed her arms. "Like, because people swallow, like, chicken bones or something? Think about this. People, on average, have less than 2 hands," Matt responded. She thought for a moment, then raised her own hands to look at them. "I don't get it." "Ponder it for a while." He yawned and stretched in his seat. Alicia thought about it while she allowed herself to be hypnotized by the trees nearest the road. They would appear, and then vanish in the darkness, just behind them as the old Buick rolled through the black blanket of a cloudless night. Rumble strips ripped at the bald tires as the car drifted over the white line and grew dangerously close to the edge of the highway. "Matt!" "I'm fine," he snapped, pulling the vehicle back into the center of the lane. "Do you need me to take over for a while?" she asked. "No, I'm fine." "Do you want to stop somewhere and get some sleep?" "I said I'm fine." "It isn't like we have anywhere to be," Alicia said. They had packed up and left their trailer earlier that day. The money they got from the state for fostering Millicent and the measly money she pulled in from working at a laundromat wasn't enough to keep them from wanting to escape the nightmare their life had become. They were headed nowhere in particular, so they were in no rush. They just needed to be somewhere people didn't know them and wouldn't ask too many questions. People were looking for them, and they owed a lot of money, so it was best to disappear. "I said I was fine. I was just lost in thought for a moment. That's all. Did you figure out the—" A heavy beam of light exploded over the small crest in the road behind them and hit the rearview mirror like a flash grenade. "Fuck! What is this guy's fucking problem?" Alicia turned to look out the back window, holding up a hand to block out the lights. "Looks like a truck," she said. "No shit. Why is he up my ass?" The truck sped up and started to cross the dotted yellow line to pass the slower-moving Buick. "Oh, hell no," Matt said, drifting into the other lane to block the truck. "Just let him go around." "No, he can suck my dick if he thinks he's going to come up on me like that and then just go around. The asshole must have had his lights off so he could creep up on me." Matt growled, moving the car into the path of the truck once again. "Just let it go. Maybe you just didn't see the lights. Not everything has to be about you proving how big your dick is. Just let him go around." Shut the fuck up and let me drive, please. The truck roared again, moving closer to the Buick side. The smaller vehicle dipped over, pressing the truck toward the ditch. Matt stuck his hand out the window, stretching his middle finger skyward. "Matt, stop!" Alicia yelled. But it was too late. The truck's engine bellowed like an angry giant and flung itself forward. Matt swung the wheel to block the truck's maneuver. The back tires broke loose of their hold on the asphalt and skipped like stones on a glassy lake. Light filled the car as it turned sideways, and the truck came barreling down on them. "Mama?" Millicent's voice broke through the noise as she sat up in the back seat. Alicia had the time to register that this was the first time in the years they'd had Millicent that she had called her mom. The last thing she saw before hell and all of eternity came crashing down on them was the light from the truck, shining through the fine golden blonde hair of the girl she chose to be her daughter. Her life hung in that moment, frozen in place like a picture hung in a gallery. She tried to hold that thought, knowing that whatever happened next, nothing would be the same. Glass exploded inward as the front of the truck smashed the side of the Buick. Millicent, who had not been buckled, was thrown directly into the rusted grill of the truck. The driver's side door bent inward around the brush guard of the truck, and Matt's body folded around it. Something snapped deep inside of Alicia as the seatbelt caught and stopped her from flying into her husband's twisted lap. The world spun as the car flipped, spitting broken glass and debris into the night air like blood from a pierced artery. The passenger side door crumpled and came off on the second roll. The force of the spin partially pulled Alicia out of the vehicle. Her futile attempts to pull herself back in ended abruptly when her head swung wide and connected with the ground on the last few flips, nearly splitting her in half. The car bounced off an embankment and came to a stop upside down on the side of the road. Alicia's right eye had been pulled away from her face and hung, flattened and useless, like snot on the side of her tattered cheek. She tried to scream, but couldn't. One of her lungs was filling with fluid, and the other nearly ripped from her body. She could see the truck driver's boots as he approached the car. Matt was gone, presumably thrown from the wreck since he never wore his seatbelt, no matter how many times she had told him to. The only sign that he had been there at all was a dark streak of blood and his lone left hand. The ring she had put on his finger the day they got married still shined. The truck driver stopped and turned. "Well, shoot," he said. Alicia tried to look up at him, but the torn tendons holding her remaining eye would not respond to the command. The man knelt down and gently lifted something from the thick grass. One of the last things Alicia would see before death took her was the man's giant, dirty hand lifting the bloody and disfigured body of what remained of the girl she had promised to care for. As the dark enveloped her, she focused on her husband's severed hand lying inches from her face, and she wished she could hold it. The last thought that went through her head before she died was about hands, and how not everyone had two.